Hey y'all, Alex from Music Hub here, and today we'll be doing a review of the 1974 biography by Richard Holmes, Shelley, A Pursuit. Percy Shelley, born the 4th of August 1792 in Warnham, West Sussex, died the 8th of July 1822 in the Gulf of La Spezia in Sardinia. If Lord Byron was English Romanticism's most important poet, Percy Shelley was that movement's most important thinker. And that's not to dismiss the poetry itself, because Shelley's writing is gorgeous, and he can blend poetic meters and ideas in a wholly unique way, but the political undertones of it all grant the poetry sort of an extra level of substance. He was an atheist. He supported nonviolent protest, which may have directly inspired Gandhi, actually, as Gandhi was aware of Shelley's poetry. He was vegetarian, and like the other English romantics, he espoused the idea of free love, or love outside the confines of marriage. There's a lot of genuinely radical ideas here. But, as with many whose flames burn brightly, Shelley's flames were extinguished quickly, in this case as the result of a shipwreck, when he was just 29 years old. A damn shame. And then we have the biographer, Richard Gordon Heath Holmes, born the 5th of November 1945, in London. A graduate of Churchill College, Holmes made his name with this biography of Shelley, actually, written ironically when Holmes was just 29 himself. My familiarity with Holmes comes from his two-part series on Samuel Taylor Coleridge, 1989's Early Visions and 1998's Darker Reflections. I read both of these books earlier this year and thought they were a phenomenal pairing, one of the best multi-part biographies I've read, up there with such volumes as James Thomas Flexner's 4-part series on George Washington and Peter Guralnick's pair of biographies on Elvis Presley. Holmes weaves poetry and biographical analysis together incredibly effectively in those two books, dissecting Coleridge's character super intimately, and I prepared myself for more of the same in this volume on Shelley, even if it might perhaps be a little rusty since this was his first book ever. The first line of the book stopped me in my tracks, and I think it's worth reading out to you with the copy that I have here. There will always be Shelley lovers, but this book is not for them. The angel they seek can be found in the golden reminiscences of Trelawney, or the charming romance by André Malraux, or within those innumerable slim selections of Shelley's lyrics whose contents have remained virtually unaltered since the first anthology of 1829, a French edition in an olive cover. That fluttering apparition is not to be found here, where a darker and more earthly, crueler and more capable figure moves with swift pace through a bizarre, though sometimes astonishingly beautiful, landscape. Right away, Holmes is stating that this book's thesis is not to continue the image of Shelley as this mystic, delicate, pixie-like figure, an image pushed by several of his contemporaries, including his wife Mary. Nope. Holmes wants to tell Shelley's full story, warts and all, even if that means spending pages dissecting individual instances of what, until this point, had become commonly accepted narratives in the tale of Shelley's life. For example, the story of Shelley's home being broken into in 1813 is acknowledged by Holmes as being possibly true, but possibly Shelley inventing a story as a way of escaping the eyes of Wales government officials who were trying to censure him for distributing potentially seditious articles. Holmes also does not mince words when it comes to Shelley's adultery, as well as his shortcomings as a husband to Mary and a father to his kids. The story of Shelley's illegitimate child is investigated so thoroughly it was like Sherlock Holmes had written this biography instead of Richard. He presents the facts of the case and all the historical speculations with their various pros and cons, ends the chapter with this inconclusive statement, then adds an appendix mid-book where he draws his own conclusions about the timeline of the case, but he makes it an appendix so that it doesn't interrupt the book's narrative with the author's own opinions. It's a clever touch, and I am glad he added it. Shelley in general is shown to be, frankly, pretty shitty as a family man, and his frequent absences and lack of empathy to his wife and kids are shown to, in at least one case, directly lead to the death of one of his own children, because he told his family to travel to where he was while the kid was really sick, and then he couldn't summon a doctor in time to save the child after they got there. It's really awful. I'm not going to pretend this book is all misery and negativity, though. Holmes clearly admires Shelley's artistry on a deep level, and like with the Coleridge books, he weaves in Shelley's poetry in super illustrative ways. It shows both how the poetry reflects Shelley's tumultuous personal life and how it reflects Shelley's changing political views as he became influenced by radical Irish thinkers like Margaret King. Holmes is a beautiful writer and sets his scenes expertly, lovely descriptions of the various towns and locations Shelley moves to throughout his life, scattered all throughout this book. And I think there's an overall sense of pity for Shelley in this book, too. The man was chronically ill physically, and it would seem he was mentally ill, too, with frequent bouts of intense panic and delusions. One has to wonder if better medical treatment could have healed the broken sides of him and allowed his artistry to shine through without the more destructive behaviors that plagued him and his personal relationships throughout his life. We'll never know what would have happened, but one thing I do know is that this book is phenomenal. Quite a few people rank it among the greatest literary biographies ever written, and I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with that statement. It's a sweeping narrative filled with details, which might intimidate some. I mean, it is about 800 pages long, but it's rewarding, and in some ways, it's quite a radical treatment of its subject matter, which seems only fitting. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, more reviews are to come. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Music Hub.